Notes put together cinematic Cody Rhodes / Roman Reigns WWE SmackDown segment. New reports have indicated who put together Friday's face-off between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes aired during WWE SmackDown. Ahead of the two-time WrestleMania rivals' temporary team-up against the Bloodline at Bad Blood, Reigns and Rhodes met in the middle of the former's alma mater, Georgia Tech's Bobby Dodd Stadium, to talk things through. Per PWInsider, the well-received video package was shot earlier in the week with Jeremy Borash, WWE NXT Senior Director of Content and Development, on hand to produce. Borash has reportedly become CCO Triple H's code for on-location segments, and continued his own working relationship with Director of Character Development Rob Fee also, on scene for the filming, as they have done for other projects and segments of late. In a follow-up, PWInsider further reported that despite Reigns losing his Wiseman within storyline, Paul Heyman was also intricately involved in the segment with personal direction to the talent for the scene. Reigns was absent from SmackDown in itself aside from the segment, while Rhodes would appear following the main event to save Kevin Owens from a beating at the hands of the Bloodline. Owens was also shown to be watching the segment between Rhodes and Reigns, teasing his unhappiness at the idea of the foes teaming together. And that became the central theme of Rhodes, save as KO stood behind him with a steel chair in hand. The turn never came, however, with the show ending with a reluctant acceptance of the help. The most legendary wrestling feuds of all time, many things come together to make professional wrestling fun to watch. Depending on who you ask, larger-than-life characters, spectacular events, endlessly quotable promos, and more all play a pivotal role in getting fans to tune in week after week. Although, when taking a look at what really drives most wrestling fans to check out the likes of the WWE, AEW, Impact, and more, one would be remiss not to give the storylines and the in-ring matchups they spawn a seat at the table. For decades, rivalries have endured as the lifeblood of pro wrestling, regardless of the promotion in question. They serve as the connective tissue between separate matches and enhance the experience for those watching, adding a specific atmosphere to a contest. Some are about championship gold or professional pride, while others are over things as mundane as shampoo commercials. Some deserve to be remembered and revered, and others are better off fading into obscurity. Ricky Steamboat versus Ric Flair. When looking back at the rich history of the National Wrestling Alliance and World Championship Wrestling, one will find that each hosted countless classic rivalries, especially in the late 1980s and early 1990s. But few have withstood the test of time quite like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Nature Boy Ric Flair, whose rivalry truly began in February of 1989 at the NWA Chi-Town Rumble event. The two would put on an absolute clinic that saw Steamboat walk away as the NWA World Heavyweight Champion and kickstart a program that would dazzle audiences for the next few months. With Steamboat depicted as a down-to-earth family man who finally won the big one, and Flair as a stylin', profilin', son of a gun who wants his title back, the story practically wrote itself. Their big rematch would come at NWA Clash of the Champions number 6, Ragin' Cotton, in March of '89. A bout that earned the Wrestling Observer's Match of the Year award that year, where Steamboat would come out the victor. Flair would win the NWA title back in the final installment of their trilogy at NWA Wrestle War 1989, Music City Showdown. Pro Wrestling Illustrated labeled this bout its 1989 Match of the Year. This particular feud between Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair would part ways after Wrestle War, but their story didn't end there. The two would engage in a string of thrilling matches under the WCW banner in 1994, and they nearly squared off again in 2022 for Flair's retirement match. Sadly for old-school wrestling fans, Steamboat chose to turn the offer down. Via the Wrestling Observer, corrupt authority figures have been a part of wrestling for decades, abusing their power and going out of their way to frustrate on-screen talent and fans. Therefore, when someone steps up to challenge their tyranny, you can count on some entertaining television.